Hey, now, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON, 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, my favorite radio station. We are creating millionaires, one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, one dime at a time. I want to talk a little bit today about what is going to be included in your $1 million net worth. What is going to be included? Because I think everybody thinks that it means you have to have $1 million cash sitting somewhere. And although that is excellent, and that is exactly where I want you to go, I want you to get to the place where you can see seven figures sitting in your bank account. But I want to talk about some of the other things that are comprised of $1 million net worth, so you can get to working on that in the areas that are much more accessible for you right now. So everybody doesn't start at the same place. Everybody doesn't have an enterprise that is bringing in streams of income. Everybody doesn't have a retirement plan that's already set. Everybody doesn't have a massive real estate, a portfolio, if you will. But everybody has something. And so one of the things that I love, I remember this comment from Iyanla Van Zanten, says, do the best you can where you are with what you have right now. So that's what we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about, what do you have? Do the best you can with it wherever you are right now. If it's zero, then let's try to get out of zero. If it's negative 20, then let's try to get out of that. If it's beyond that, then we can even take that and go to the next level. But before we get to all that, I have to say that I have been quite dismayed with the overall status of the student loan crisis that is happening in this country. Just a while ago, I was privileged to interview Mr. Anthony O'Neill, who is the author of the best-selling book, Debt-Free Degree. I talked about it a lot at the WVON Family Care Expo, and I'm talking about it everywhere I go. So when I am in New Jersey this Sunday, when I am in Atlanta next weekend, wherever I am, I'm talking about this crisis. And this is something that I want everyone to know. HBCU students and African-American parents are saddled with risky college student debt because of Parent Plus loans. This is in USA Today News. And if you go and take a look at this article, it was on October 28th, 2019. Among families of color, this loan is much more common, the plus loan, the Parent Plus loan, and they are qualifying the parents for the loans without any consideration for, not a lot of consideration for credit score even, but they are approving these loans definitely without consideration for a debt-to-income ratio. None of the normal qualifying terms for getting a Parent Plus loan are put in place. If you go to the bank and you want a loan, you have to demonstrate how much money you have coming in versus how much money you have going out. They want to know if they loan you money, can you afford to actually make the payments? If you come to Lynn Richardson asking for a loan, first of all, I'm going to give you a job. That's, just to start there. And that's if I say yes. But if I was going to give a loan, I'd want to know. I'd want to see your bank statement. I'd want to see your pay stubs. I'd want to know what your expenses are, because I find that when people are in financial trouble, it's usually because they're doing something wrong. It doesn't make you bad. It just means you're doing something wrong. So if you come to anybody, in most cases for a loan, you have to demonstrate those things. But with the Parent Plus loan, you have to demonstrate no such, not even any remote concern or a remote example or any remote evidence of your ability to pay. So this is what was said. For black families, the Parent Plus loan is more likely to be the last-ditch tool to send their kids to college. So your kid decides they want to go to an expensive school. Let's say it's Duke. Let's say it's whatever, any school, Emory, Northwestern, whatever it is, Princeton, Harvard, Yale, Brown, Stanford. And they give you a financial aid package, and it's not enough. I know at Northwestern, let's just say, for example, my daughter Sydney attends there still, and it's about $60,000 a year. I need to see a package for $60,000 a year. Otherwise, you're not going. So what's happening, the students are getting a package for, let's say, $30,000, and the parents are coming up with the other $30,000. That's what's happening. And they're doing that every year, and they're doing that for multiple years. So by the time the student graduates from college, they've got a massive debt that they have to manage, and so does the parent. So it says over 40% of borrowers have annual household incomes of $30,000 or less. Let me repeat. Over 40% of borrowers have annual household incomes of $30,000 or less. So here's what's happening. Parents who have dreams for their children and are addicted to their success, who are making $30,000 or less, or somewhere in that category, and I'm not even going to say net or gross, because even if you gross $50,000, you're only netting somewhere around $30,000. So let's just say this number could be a little bit higher. But parents who are making this amount of money are taking out these loans, 40%. It says their kids are likely to have already maxed out the amount they can borrow in federal student loans. Without the Parent Plus loan, the students cannot afford to go to college. But the heavy debt burden on parents combined with the students' debt could drive low-income black families much deeper into indebtedness. This is actually true. It is very real. It is the next big epidemic, I believe, after the real estate crisis and how it has impacted not only the African American community, but the world. What are your thoughts about this? What do you all think? Call me at 312-374-8130 so we can engage a discussion, because I really feel like this is the platform by which we get to raise our voices and do something about this. Of course, in one of my previous shows, I said, just stop going to the schools. And I think it's very abrupt, but I think it's the only way. If 70% of the students who get accepted to these schools can't afford to go there, what do you think is going to happen if the 70% don't go? I think some changes are going to have to come. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON, 1690 AM. We have to take a break for traffic and weather with Annette Flournoy. We'll be right back. WVON.
More of the Millionaires Roundtable coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Are you struggling with your finances? Have you tried everything you can think of but just can't seem to get ahead on your own? Well, it's time to get some help. With a financial coach, you can find out what you don't know and learn to make better choices when it comes to your finances. Lynn Richardson's Wealth Vision 2020 Financial Coaching provides step-by-step instructions daily, a one-stop shop to create your budget, access to vetted financial coaches in specialized areas such as mortgages, insurance, real estate, investing, taxes, and more. Lynn Richardson and her team will help you set goals, undo bad habits, push you past your own beliefs, and gain peace with your finances. Go to www.lynnrichardson.com. That's www.lynnrichardson.com. Or call 888-LYNN-123. That's 888-596-6123 for more info today.
Hey, now, welcome back. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON, 1690 AM, Talk of Chicago. You can follow us anywhere in the world at WVON.com. You can follow this show specifically at LynnMillionaire.com. Click, listen live, share with your friends and family. Send them a text message. Tell them to tune in now. Tell them to call 312-374-8130. I know that there are a ton of student loan questions out there, people who have been in collections and forbearance and deferment and can't get jobs, can't move to the next level, all because of the student loan crisis that's taking place. So I want to hear your thoughts. The other thing that I wanted to share, in addition to this particular article where I just talked about how African Americans are disproportionately negatively impacted by the amount of student loans that are being taken out. The other thing is I just saw something where the people at Sallie Mae, they flew in their top execs to Hawaii to celebrate $1 billion in student loans. $1 billion? Really? That's what we're celebrating? Like, I get it. I understand that $1 billion means that that's how many dollars were advanced to allow people to actually walk through the door, the virtual door, because we know on a college campus there are many doors. But so let me just take it one step at a time. So I understand $1 billion was made available so that people could actually start school. But I would like to know how much of that $1 billion actually represents students who finished school, who were able to go back, students who were able to get jobs in their careers. So does the $1 billion, is it matched? If we took all of those students and added up their salaries for the jobs that they got after finishing school, if they finished school. So let's say you took out $30,000 in student loans, but you didn't finish, but you got a job. For all intent and purposes, I'm not even going to include did you graduate in that number. But for all of the billions of dollars of student loans that were granted, did the kids get jobs to match that dollar amount? I don't think so. So here's the article, and it was on October 18th. And it says Sallie Mae execs flew over 100 employees to Hawaii to celebrate a record $5 billion. I said one. It was $5 billion in student loans. This is a bit troubling. It's almost like knowing that a company went and celebrated all of the crack that they sold illegally. It's something a little off with it. And I know student loans and crack are not the same thing, but they're both keeping people down. They're both preventing people from being able to advance, and they both pretend to give you a high, but really they are taking away. What are your thoughts about this? 312-374-8130. I think it is an absolute atrocious crisis that we need to deal with. So number one, of course, there is a book called Debt Free Degree. There is another book by Leo Jean Lewis called Got Debt. I've had him on as well. And then, of course, my book, The Symphony, A Guide to Creating and Balancing Multiple Streams of Income, are definitely outlining some ways that we can get around this crisis, but how do we stop it from growing? What do we do? How do we address it? Congress needs to pass a law. There needs to be an act. Something needs to happen because the terms under which these loans are being granted are not terms by which the person can actually keep up with. So if you're going to give somebody a $50,000 student loan, make sure they can get a $150,000 job. That's all I'm saying. If someone is going to get and here's the thing about student loans. The student loan amount is the same. It doesn't matter if you go to school to become a basket weaver or a doctor. Now, I'm not saying anything about either profession. What I'm saying is if you're going to be a basket weaver, I don't think you're going to make as much money as a doctor. I think that the amount of money that you're going to make in one profession versus another should also be a factor in determining how much you get in student loans. If you're going to be an attorney versus, a retail store manager, these are some of the things that have to be considered. Otherwise, we are facing a major crisis with our millennials. You are listening to the Millionaires Roundtable on WVON, 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, our favorite radio station. I think we need to start educating our students differently. I think we need to start sending a message. In light of there was a premiere of the movie Harriet this week, and I attended. I wasn't around for the red carpet and all that, but I will actually be involved with this production a bit more over the coming weeks because MC Light is doing the VO and we've got to do a big shoot and what have you. But Harriet was freeing the slaves, and now it looks like we're putting them back in bondage. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson. It's 12:30 on the Talk of Chicago. We have to take a break for news, traffic, and weather with Jennifer Harris. We'll be right back. WVON.
More of the Millionaires Roundtable coming up on the Talk of Chicago. 1690 WVON.
Are you an exceptional real estate or financial services professional? Do you have a business or service that can improve the lives of others? You may qualify to serve the world as a member of Lynn's List. Visit www.lynnmillionaire.com. That's www.lynnmillionaire.com or call 888-LYNN-123 extension 5. That's 888-LYNN-123 extension 5 for more details.
Welcome. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host. Welcome back, I should say. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the Talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation. You can also listen to me on YouTube and podcast. Did you know that? So if you missed a show, you can go to lynnmillionaire.com, click on podcast. You can find not all of them, but you can find some of the really popular and funny shows there, and informative shows. And you can go to lynnmillionaire.tv. That's right. At lynnmillionaire.tv, you can watch/listen, because you're not going to see much happening, but you can watch the little beat of the movement of the sound bite and hear me talking on YouTube. And you can share them with your friends and family. You can bring together folks to have a conversation about money. We get together and talk about everything else. We talk about football, basketball. We need to talk about money. So I'd love for you to do that. It's cold. I'm listening to the weather in Chicago. They're talking about chill. I'm in California and it's sunny. I'm sorry. I just had to say that. Now, that is not always the case, because I'm headed to the East Coast tomorrow and I have my winter coat. And MC Light said, "Are you bringing your coat?" I said, "No, I'm wearing flip-flops and a bikini in November in New York." Of course I'm wearing my coat. Like, hello, come on. I was born at night, but not last night. I know how cold it can get. And I'm actually slightly excited about it, because during the cold months, I like to stay in and I like to think and I like to plan. But today we're talking about now, let me just clarify the $5 billion that Sallie Mae lent and then sent their top executives to celebrate in Hawaii. That was just this year. That's not $5 billion in general. That was $5 billion this year alone that they achieved in getting people into debt without a real strategy around getting them the resources that they need when they get out of school to not only pay these student loans, but to get the jobs that they need in order to sustain their lives. What do you all think about that? I think it's atrocious. I've gotten a question. Do you think they should teach about money in high school to avoid money problems in the future? Absolutely. It should be reading, writing, mathematics, and money. Those should be the 4 basic things that you learn in school. What do you need to know about history for? Now, I know history is important, but it should not trump money. What do you need to know science for? I have never had a need to go and cut up a frog like I did in biology. I don't need any knowledge about cutting up a frog. I don't even need to know why flowers need sunlight. Just give them some sunlight. Like, God has got that under control. There has never been a time in the history of the world where I needed to understand how photosynthesis and the plant life and all of that, they got people working that out. But I do need to know how to manage my money. So reading, writing, mathematics, and money should be the top things that you learn in school. I'm even now, they got some other subjects in school that we don't need to know about. Now, when it comes to math, let me just say this. We need to be clear about what kind of math we need to know. Adding, important. Subtracting, that's important. multiplying and dividing. Now we're starting to get into some slippery, slopey areas, decimals and fractions. Now, I get it, but some people think, okay, we could just use a calculator for that. But algebra and trigonometry, when people don't know how to build a home-based business and know that 475 tax deductions, there are two things that are not happening in the school that every school needs to have, and people can say what they want to say about me, but this is what I believe. When I read the Bible, I said everybody should read the Bible. Everybody. It should start at kindergarten and be a part of a test that you pass when you graduate. So everybody should read the Bible, and everybody should know about the 475 tax deductions. It should be what you start learning in school, in kindergarten, since, by the way, I am 100% all for 5-year-olds working for their parents in their home-based business. As a matter of fact, all of my clients or people who, I say clients simply because I provide knowledge and information, but everybody is not paying for a service. People are just getting financially free, and I'm blessed to be in a position to be able to help them become financially free. Many of them buy books, they take classes, they do all of that, which is great. But many of them have the budgeting journal, and in the budgeting journal, I have job descriptions and duties for children starting at age 2. Absolutely. And the 2-year-olds are taking out the garbage. They're cleaning up their rooms. Absolutely. They're cleaning up their own rooms, because if you can play with a toy, you can put it back. Let me repeat. If you can play with a toy, you can put it back. That's what I believe. So I have job descriptions. So if you have been working since you were 2, don't you think by 5 you should know something about taxes? I mean, I'm just saying, you should know something. You should have your own home-based business, and you should start understanding how to prepare your tax return and deduct your taxes. Now, they are looking at me like I'm crazy, but you all are the ones limiting people. These children, they know how to add, subtract. They may not be able to multiply and divide, but you don't need to know how to multiply and divide to do a tax return. All you need to know how to do is add and subtract. So I am just saying, with these student loans should come some very, very practical knowledge. So to answer the question for the person who submitted that question, the caller didn't want to share their name and all that. They just sent in the question. Should kids learn about money in school? Absolutely. And I've got another one. Every adult that's under the sound of my voice and the ones that's not listening, we all need to go back to school too. Everybody needs to go on back to about 6th grade and enroll again and start with money lessons that you would teach a 10-year-old. Everybody should go back, I think, and get this thing right. You are listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson, and it's Financial Freedom Friday. And today, I'm not feeling real happy about about the fact that some people are not free. In one of our businesses, my girl Latrice, she calls herself the chief abolitionist. I said, let me tell you, you cannot walk around with that title. They're going to think we got bodies in the back, smuggling them and getting them onto the promised land. But I do tell you this, I've got mines in the back. I've got mines, and I want to smuggle you into the world of financial freedom. And one of the things I said today is opinions don't pay bills. So while we are getting all comfortable in the holiday season, I want you to learn a word this holiday. No. And I want you to understand that it is a complete sentence. So when you get invited to too many things, when you get invited to too many grab bags, when folks start asking what you're going to do here and how you're going to go there, and it's all attached to money, I want you to learn how to say no so that you can stay on track with your financial goals and get where you're trying to go in 2020. So I've got some more questions. You can also call me with your questions at 312-374-8130, 312-374-8130. So the next question that I have is, okay, dear Lynn, what do I do if I have defaulted on my student loans? Okay, so here's the thing. If you've got a federal student loan, then getting out of default is actually very easy. If you have a private student loan, God bless you, because you are in bondage. I'm just going to tell you right now. The deferments, the forbearances, and the leniency that is allocated to the student loan system only applies to the federal student loan. So a federal direct loan, a subsidized loan, a Stafford loan, a Perkins loan, an unsubsidized loan, those have some leniencies, and I'll tell you more about them after the break. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson. We have to take a break for traffic and weather with Jennifer Harris. We'll be right back. WVON.
More of the Millionaires Roundtable coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Legacy for your loved ones. Do you know the difference between an estate plan and a will? Are you newly engaged and concerned about getting a prenuptial agreement? Are you married to your child's mother or father, and do you know what happens to insurance money if you are not? Call your wealth counselor, Attorney Deidre Wood-Stokes. With over 22 years of experience, Attorney Stokes has all the answers you need to help you secure your family's financial future. You can find Attorney Stokes on Lynn's list at www.lynnmillionaire.com. That's www.lynnmillionaire.com, or call 888-LYNN-123. That's 888-596-6123. Protect your legacy now.
Hey, now welcome back. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the Talk of Chicago and the Voice of the Nation. And today we're talking about student loans. We're talking about the things that are going to encompass your asset base in determining your $1 million net worth. And I know that I have dealt with the student loan thing for the whole entire show because it's so ridiculous. And I think we need to do something about it. Call me at 312-374-8130. Otha, I think you are on the line. Do you have a question for me?
I have a comment. Good afternoon, Ms. Richardson, and thanks for taking my call.
All right now. Okay. Thank you.
And I just want to say you are much appreciated. I listen to you along with my grandson every day at 12 noon, and you teach us so much, and it's much appreciated. But he always tells me, I've got to meet Miss Richardson some. I told him maybe one day he'll get that opportunity. But I would like to know if someone can make an appointment to talk with you personally. I know you must be terribly busy.
Absolutely. I talk to people just about every single day. So at lynnrichardson.com, if you click connect with Lynn, the process starts there. We get you in. We respond to every single communication every day, typically within a couple of hours, unless it's overnight, and then we get you to the next step. So tell is it your grandson? Did you say your grandson?
It's my grandson.
Oh, wonderful. Well, tell him we will meet soon because I plan to be everywhere really soon, doing some things, and especially in my hometown, Chi-Town. So, yes.
You got that right because you're on WVON. But I'll tell him that, and we'll connect online. And I really appreciate you, and thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You know, that's what it's all about. It is about us exposing our children and grandchildren to this information. And I am so serious. Reading, writing, math, and money. That's, you know, and I would say money first because you might not even know how to read and write, but get your money straight. But I guess you need to know how to add if you're going to get the right amount of money. So we can stay in that order: reading, writing, math, and money. That's what we need to stick to. But right now we're going to teach our kids. Madeline, you are on the Millionaires Roundtable. You have a question for me?
Lynn, hi. This is Madeline Sanders. I called you because I was really quite taken aback when you said that, when you mentioned how Northwestern U is setting up financial arrangements for undergraduate students being accepted there. I went there. I'm an alum of the school also, of CAS. And when I went there, it was in the early 70s. I got a full ride with grant money, and so I've been telling people, in fact, for a number of years, and at one point I knew this was true, that if you got accepted, you didn't have to worry about being saddled with a ton of loan money because, as you know, the school gets huge endowments, so they're able to provide people with grant money as opposed to having them get saddled with a ton of loan money. So what changed along the way? I'm really surprised to hear this. So
I don't know if I was misquoted. I'm not sure if I was misheard or misunderstood, but I did not say anything specific about Northwestern. What I said about Northwestern is that my daughter attends there, and she got a full ride, and that there was no other way for her to go except for that. Then I put Northwestern in a category of schools. I said Duke, Emory, Northwestern, whatever it is. If you go there and they don't give you a full package, then you need to say no. So if I was misunderstood, I did not intend to imply that Northwestern is not giving out full packages. I don't believe they are 100% of the time. However, the statement still stands that if the school, I don't care what it is, if they're not giving you a full package or close to it, and my daughter took out some small loans, Perkins loans or what have you, but, she's not in debt, $100,000, $200,000 in trying to get a bachelor's degree. But thank you so much for your concern.
Yeah, I want to just say this in closing. Of course, in my case, I also am a military veteran, and so I've had the advantage of actually having money available not only for undergraduate school when I needed to use it, but also even for graduate school. I'm in a graduate program now, and I found out about veteran scholarships that are available.
Understood.
So I tell people there are multiple advantages to joining the military. I was in the Navy, so.
Well, let me tell you, I wouldn't have lasted. So I hear what you're saying, and that's great. But if you can't make it through basic training, you need to figure out another way. I love you so much, Madeline. Thank you so much for the call. You all are listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm Lynn Richardson, and we got to go. It's the weekend, and I'll talk to you next time. Reach out to me at lynnrichardson.com, lynnmillionaire.com. Follow me on social media at Lynn Millionaire and at Lynn Richardson. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.